Hi, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the first video of August, and I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm trying to sort of put some new stuff on the channel, really, trying to create a bit more content, some different stuff. So obviously, well, maybe not obviously to you, but I am still going to be absolutely listening to music on the channel, spinning records, and listening to stuff for the first time, doing reactions and all that stuff as well. But I want to kind of open it up a little bit and to sort of talk a bit more about records, because they are such a sort of an important thing to me, a big part of my life. And I know a lot of other channels do these record hauls, and I thought, well, you know what, I do buy records. I get new records probably, yeah, if not every week, certainly 3 or 4 times a month. And actually July has been quite a busy month for the old record haul, and I thought it'd actually be quite good to go through the records I've got in July, and maybe to open this up as a regular thing that I do each month. So at the beginning of the month, talk about what I've bought and acquired in the previous month. I also get CDs as well, but I probably won't talk about them in the same. Well, I might do a video on that as well if that's what we want. And if this is something that you like and fancy, then yeah, let me know and I'll continue doing it. So I started doing this video a little while ago, and I realised I didn't have my headphones on, which is kind of like a bit of a safety blanket for me. So I have these on. It's a bit more secure. I can do that. And I realised I didn't have them on. I didn't have my hat on, and it was all a bit scary. So I had to put my hat on quickly to sort of try and just as a bit of a security blanket, because it was a bit scary. I didn't like what I saw. Let's get going. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 records to talk about. And the first one is Kingston Wall. This is the first record by the Finnish prog rock band Kingston Wall. I've listened to one of their tracks on the channel a couple of years ago, or maybe not that long ago, a year ago perhaps, year and a half, called Shine On, or Shine On Me, I think it was called. Anyway, I absolutely loved it, and I was able to track down the album that came from, which was Kingston Wall 2. And at the time, I was looking around at other vinyl they did. There was only ever 3 records they released, and I think the band split up because the guitarist, songwriter, and singer died. He's very sadly committed suicide. So as a result, the band was no more. But they did release 3 records. The other 2 were ludicrously expensive. There's no way I could afford them. That's like sort of £50-60 at the cheapest per record. But very luckily, these have all been re-released in the last sort of few months, I think. So I didn't even realise that until I just did a random search for it again. I guess in June or the beginning of July. And so, oh wow, okay, that's coming in. That's a lot more reasonable. So yes, this is Kingston Wall, the first record. It's a double. It's a nice gatefold. The liner notes are in Finnish and in English, so split between the two. And this is also a beautiful, pretty looking thing, because it is on what they call, I think it's sunburst, or I think it's called sunburst, something like that. Anyway, it's rather pretty, isn't it? So there's both records look like this. The artwork on here is something to behold as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it has a sort of slight feel of Ozric tentacles, but without being sort of too full of elves and no, what is it I've got on there? So I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, it's a really, really, really good record. I've listened to the first 2 sides of this. So first record, it is killer. I mean, it really is. It's loose, but it's a real sort of psychedelic-y prog rock, in sort of like a Hawkwindish, Ozric-y. is just great. It's really, really good. So highly, highly recommended it. If you don't know this band, go and check them out. If you can find copies of it, do, because they are really good. Okay, record number 2 is Tool. Now, this is not an official release. I think this is a bootleg. And I don't even know where I got this from. I can't remember where I found this. It may well have been on Discogs. But it's a recording of Tool playing at Lollapalooza, however you call it, in 1993. So it's all of the old tracks off the Opiate EP and of the first album, which kind of I can't remember now. Undertow, that was it. So there's loads of stuff off there. It's the quality of the recording is not fantastic. I'm guessing it's a sound desk recording, but it's a really, really good document to hear some Tool live. Now, I don't know whether this is available everywhere and it's what have you, but it's actually on a proper record label. It's got a barcode, so it is an official thing. You can scan it into Discogs. It's all there, but it's not an official Volcano record label release, so it's not, I guess, an official part of Tool's discography. But interesting document nonetheless. So there we go. That's some Tool. Now, this next record is something of a bit of a departure. This is a bit different. This is a band called the Congos, and it's the record is called Heart of the Congos, and really it's just sort of real roots reggae. So kind of not the stuff that you would expect me to be listening to, but I listen to a lot of music, an awful lot of music, and this is kind of one of the classic records that of that whole scene. And I really wanted this because I just wanted to listen to, and I've got a bit of reggae, but I haven't got a lot. But I quite like it, and I quite like to hear it. I wanted to sort of really, really test drive the system as much as anything. So this was an eBay purchase, not very expensive. I think it was about sort of £5 or something like that. It sounds a bit muddy in places, but my God, it sounds cool. The bass on here is phenomenal. It is absolutely mind blowing. Great record, and yeah, if you like a bit of reggae, you can't go wrong with something like this. It's actually been mixed by Lee Scratch Perry, so if you know anything about sort of reggae at all, you'll know his name. He worked with The Orb a couple of albums ago on some stuff with them. So yeah, legendary producer, legendary band, can't go wrong. Next up, another left field record, a bit of Charlie Mingus. So Charles Mingus, this is Mingus RM. It's some more sort of 50s, 60s jazz. I've got a little bit of this already. I've got some Miles Davis and some John Coltrane. I like to listen to some different stuff as well. So this is sort of right up there with that from an originality point of view, and just to sort of really hear something different and something unique and inspirational. A lot of modern music, especially in the prog scene, wouldn't exist without these guys doing what they were doing in the 1950s and 60s. They were just completely rewriting the rules of music and what you could and couldn't do. And it's just phenomenal music. Wow, I tell you, yeah, it's another great. You really can't go wrong with these sort of the legendary names in jazz. You know, your John Coltrane's, your Charles Mingus, your Miles Davis, so on and so forth. Buy any of their stuff, you really are not going to go wrong with it. It's gonna give you some interesting stuff, and you'll hear stuff that you've never heard before, and it will take you on a trip in a good way. So yeah, there we go. Mingus Charles Mingus, recommended. Again, another eBay cheapie. Now this one, I've heard this music when it was broadcast live on YouTube. No, it wasn't on YouTube. It was on Stadia, I think. Anyway, Devin, during the whole of this lockdown, he's been producing music like you wouldn't believe, and also trying to create live concerts, for want of a better thing, but doing it all online. And this was one of his live concerts, and it was inspired in a way. It's a really heavy set of some strapping young lad stuff, a lot of Devin Townsend band, Devin Townsend project, but all the really heavy stuff. And he did it with a group of musicians who'd not played with before, apart from, what's he called, Samus, who has got his own YouTube channel, so check that out from time to time. But we've also got on here Wes Haunch and Liam Wilson. Now, both of those guys are, I know, sort of fairly legendary musicians within the metal scene as well. I don't know where they play, where they've come from, so I'm obviously, legendary or not, I don't know them, but I know them after this, and they are pretty fucking good, I have to say. This is a really good record. I love, the set list on here, listen to this. Velvet Kevorkian, All Hail the New Flesh, By Your Command, Almost Again, Jula, March of the Poozers, Super Crush, Hyperdrive, Stormbending, of course, Deadhead, Aftermath, Love, Spirits Will Collide, Kingdom, and absolutely one of my favourite ever tracks, not just from Devin, from any band, Detox. Oh man alive. If you want to experience heavy music, that's the one to do it, I tell you. You know, when Metallica isn't quite heavy enough for you, and it ain't, is it? No. Some of Devi's strapping young lad stuff, I tell you. Oh, this is a great record. Really good. So, yep, that's the vinyl release of his concert. What's he called it? Galactic Quarantine. I bought that from Devi's shop itself. So this was a record store day purchase. There's a really great record shop that I've found. I started buying bits and pieces from called Acai Records, I think they're called. Anyway, they're in Scotland, up in Edinburgh and I want to say Aberdeen. I need to double check that. Oh, it's Dundee. Okay, so they have two shops. So Acai Records. I first came across this record shop 3 months ago, I think, when I was able to track down the Mars Volta box set, which I'd been looking for for a little while, and I sort of had given up, and I gave it one last try, and through some very persistent Google searching, I came across this box set available at Acai Records up in Dundee and or Edinburgh. So they've got two shops, that's where they are. And it's just fantastic. And they've got it boxed up, sent to me within a day or so. And I've bought quite a lot of records from there ever since. Record Store Day, the first one, I got some stuff from there. I got an Opeth record and Future Sound of London. And so second time round, I wasn't so quick on the ball, so I missed most of the stuff. But I was able to pick this up, which is the Soen Record Store Day release, which is it's a double-sided thing. It's got Undiscovered Lotus, so some unreleased tracks from the Lotus recording sessions. And on the other side, we have some live recordings. So Sectarian, Gin and Lucidity was recorded live from Lycaria Revisited. I'm not quite sure what that is. Anyway, I haven't actually had a chance to play this yet, but this is one which is on the list to sort of get to, obviously very, very soon. There's nothing special about the record itself, just black vinyl, but it's my first, hopefully, of several Soen records, but these are as rare as hen's teeth, trying to get hold of a Soen record, so they just are just not out there. Next up, Dream Theater. So this is they've just obviously announced a new record which is coming out in October, I think, but this is their previous release, Distance Over Time, double album, quite a weighty number. I'm guessing it's 180 gram vinyl. I don't think there's anything special about this. Yes, just a black vinyl again. It's a lovely packaged record. back cover full of skulls. Inside is just band photography. I've listened to this once. It hasn't stuck in my mind yet. I mean, it needs to be listened to again. It's not like Octavarium, which is kind of has gone up there as one of my favourite ever records. I absolutely love that record. But this is it's probably a grower. I need to listen to it a few more times. But it's classic Dream Theater. Absolutely, it is. All the elements are there. But it's not sinking in yet. So I need to listen to this a few more times, I think. Good record, though. Very good record. Next up, The Slow Rush, Tame Impala. So, I haven't listened to all of this yet. This is really interesting. This is Australian. I guess it's quite popular. It's quite sort of. It's played on the radio, Tame Impala, but it is prog. And I can't remember the name of the guy who does this. It's Kevin somebody. I don't know if he's got his name in here. Kevin Park. Oh God, I can't even read this. This is awful. I'm going to put my glasses on. I'm getting so old. Right. Hello. Right. This is Kevin Parker, not Parkin. Oh my God. So yeah, all music written, performed, produced, and mixed by Kevin Parker. And this is him, a solitary figure strolling across the desert, where he does all his best thinking, you know. This is a really, really, really good record, but in a very, very different way from most prog that I've been listening to of late. This is more along the lines of Radiohead than it is of Gentle Giant, for example, which is something I'll be coming on to in a minute. So it's a very modern take on what prog music can sound like. Really interesting. Probably a bit sort of post-rock mixed with prog and electronica. It's interesting, a really, really good record. Again, I've not heard all of it yet. This is one that I need to delve into a bit more, but interesting record, and highly recommended if you want to try something which is outside the usual sort of areas of inside out music, or where else is some of those other labels that do all the prog stuff. So something different. Next up, Freehand by Gentle Giant, and this is it's a double album. It's actually a single album, but it's two albums in here, two versions of the same album, I should say. So the first record is the original record, which has been transferred again from the original recordings. There's no mixing or anything going on with it. It's just the original mix, but I think remastered probably, or just transferred from the original tapes. And the second one is the special re-release. It's the Stephen Wilson remix. Stephen Wilson obviously had done some amazing work with bands like Yes, with some older Gentle Giant as well, with Jethro Tull, for example, Aqualung, which I already have in the collection. Obviously, he's famous for all his own solo stuff and what he's done with Porcupine Tree, but as a remixer and a producer, he's very much sort of he's almost as in demand for that as he is for his own music. So I'm not familiar with this record, or sorry, I was not familiar with this record. I'm very familiar with the sound of Gentle Giant, and I have to say, this is actually pretty freaking bloody cool. I've not listened to the original transfer. I probably should have done that first. I would dive straight into the Stephen Wilson remix. Now, I'm guessing because the way he operates, it's not going to be a departure from the original recording. There's not going to be new parts added in or anything like that. So what he'll very carefully have done will have cleaned it up and removed the mud, if you will, and exposed parts and sort of given clarity to some things. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, if you do not know Gentle Giant, do yourself a favour. It's unlike anything I've ever heard before as a band. They take their inspiration from the Baroque period of classical music, I think, and it's Baroque rock with a sort of a 1970s twist. It's so cool. It's uncool, and it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal music, and as a lot of bands today owe their existence, I think, to the sound that these guys produced. Not least of all Haken, who on some of their records, specifically The Mountain, and you're thinking about Cockroach King, you can hear Gentle Giant all over their record. So this is really good. This is one that I highly recommend. If you can, get it. So I listened to earlier in the month this, didn't I, on the channel? It's what a record. This really was a revelation to me, and as such I bought this and this. I think I got this off Amazon, don't hate me. It's the only place I could find it, and this was from the Marillion shop, because of Pete Travaus's connection. So obviously Pete Travaus, bass player for Marillion, bass player for Transatlantic, and since I follow him on Facebook, he posted something on there and said, "Oh, look, this Transatlantic record is now back in availability in the Marillion shop." So I was able to get that, and actually it's just down the road from where I live. They're based in Aylesbury. I'm in Milton Keynes, so it's about 20 miles away, although it did still take about 3 days to arrive in the post. I'm not complaining. This band is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I can't get over how good this is, and this is proper throwback 1970s prog, but played by modern musicians, and it's up there with some of the best music I've ever heard. It's really good. I can't recommend these albums highly enough. There's some more of them to get, so I'll still be getting those in the future. Next up, so I'm getting towards the end now. You'll be pleased to know. I think this is probably the final edition I need for Mastodon. I've not listened to this yet. This is Remission by Mastodon, which is quite a pretty piece of vinyl. It's a lovely thing anyway in its own right. I think that this is what I love about vinyl. It's just the packaging and the whole sort of physical being at one with the music. But if I just whip this out, have a look at this. Oh, how pretty is that? Hey, isn't that awesome? I've not heard this yet, but I do know. I understand, I should say, that this is pretty raw and unrefined. I mean, Mastodon's never sort of ultra refined, but this is sort of in their much rawer stages than they did, for example, Crack the Sky or Once More Round the Sun and stuff. You know, this is early Mastodon. In fact, I think it's probably even their first record. I don't know, but it's gonna be loud, and it's gonna be a bit rough around the edges, I think. But it's gonna be quite exciting. Looking forward to that. So this is, again, one I've not heard. If this is something you think you might want to hear on the channel, let us know. In fact, that's the case for all of these things. Upvote them, whatever. Now, next record. I did a reaction a week or two ago for Ghost. Of course, I had to get this, didn't I? On the back of that. So, I listened to Cerise, which is the third track off this record, and my fucking god, this is a bloody brilliant record. Probably one of my favourite records that I bought this year. Absolutely love this. I've spun this so many times, so I can't do any more reactions to this because I've listened to this as soon as it came in. I had to get this on the record player and listen to it straight away. It's shiny, dark, theatrical pop metal. It's just absolutely brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it. If you liked Cerise, you can't go wrong. You absolutely can't go wrong. It's fantastic. Go get it. So, you've probably seen... Oh, let's get these the other way around. The penultimate... Well, no, actually, the last video I think I made... Was it the last video? No, penultimate video I did was a selection of Muse, Origin of Symmetry. So, yes, obviously this is in the collection because I listened to it on the channel last week. There's not a lot more I can say about this than I did on the video. It's just absolute classic Muse. Shinier, brighter, bigger, louder, better than ever. This is an absolute triumph for Muse. I think they did a brilliant job re-releasing this and remixing it, and it's up there. It's just transformed a 20-year-old record to sounding as if it was made last week. It's brilliant. Highly recommended. Go get it. Which brings me on to my final record. This was a bit of an experiment for me. I don't know Deftones. I don't know anything about them, and it's been suggested to me on a number of occasions that I should be listening to Deftones, not just on the channel, but by some friends as well. I know that they are highly regarded, and I think I ought to like them, and I ought to know them. So I took a punt on it. White Pony, which I guess is their sort of breakthrough record. It's a lovely thing. Again, spoiler alert, I've listened to it. I've recorded a video about it. It'll be coming on the channel very soon. So that's the final record. I really liked it, by the way. And that is that's my collection of records for July. Quite a few there, as you say. It's not always that many, and it's fun to do. So, is this something you quite fancy watching again? I'll do it every month if you like it. If there's anything in there you think that I ought to be listening to on the channel and sharing with sort of like the wider audience, then let me know. And probably the records that get the most votes, I'll do a video for, maybe one or two in the month. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Next time you see me, I'll probably have my headphones on again because it'll be listening to something. But until then, whenever and whatever that is, this is Jim over and out.